Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdcast Dave, and today I'm joined by Antonio Demico.
Yes, that is indeed me. Hello, everybody.
You've got one project, one and a half projects under your belt now, because you've done Dragon Stew, which Nerdator Doug over on the website has raved about, and now you're
Thank you,
also
Doug.
involved with Hexbound, which is more than kicked on Kickstarter. So it's going to be a reality and is going to happen.
It sure will. It sure will. Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I started with Dragons too. It was my own little baby project. Started when uh, I started first with Dragons too. Now I'm here with Hexbound, and I cannot believe how quickly and how fast and how big both have gone. But especially Hexbound now in the second, he has like that one has surpassed Dragon Stew or anything else I've ever done by a mile and a half. So we're very happy.
So what is Dragon Stew, and then we'll move into Hexbound.
Well, Dragon Stew is stupid and was my idea for the longest time, which was, wouldn't it be? Isn't it weird that we can't cook monsters? That was such a basic thing of like what loot you get from monsters compared to the loot that you get from killing like humanoids was always on my mind. I was like, why are we? I remember playing and being like, I don't care about killing this manticore. What are we gonna get? You know what I mean? What are we gonna get really out of this?
Yeah.
We could just run. Um, and from that stupid like thought came the idea of, wouldn't it be fun to cook these monsters and make them into dishes? And from that, I ran my first long form campaign, by which I mean like a campaign that lasted more than 1 year. All my campaigns either like lasted less or I like short form stuff. This one was like, I want to do a big one. So that one lasted for more than 1 year. And that one was like, I always describe it as the Great British Bake Off meets Monster Hunter, in that you have you cook them, you hunt a monster, you cook it, and then you present it to a judge. You're like, because you're in competition with another team of players, or not of players, of adventurers that are also hunting the same monster and cooking it, and whoever makes the best dish wins. So it's like cooking competition mixed with
Yeah.
monster hunting thing for D&D, and that was Dragon Stew.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I don't know, like you and Doug had talked because he'd done an interview with you.
Mm-hmm.
But he had ran a stream game for us a couple years ago called Ingest Quest,
Oh.
and it was a Spelljammer game based off of a cooking show, where they were like spell jamming around,
Mm-hmm.
getting the ingredients to cook, in a cooking competition. And like, I don't think it started that way, but in their session zero, they were talking about the game they wanted to play, and like it was like, so like it was food oriented. So he ended up coming up with that concept similar to what you're talking about. So much so, like the players had contracts with each other what the rules were for eating the other players if they happened to meet their demise.
If it happened to happen, yeah, very
Yeah.
like those rugby players in the Andes. Yeah. No, yeah, a lot of people like, that was the weirdest thing to me is right when I did Dragons 2. If we want to get into some lore and backstory,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah, back in the day, like when I decided to do Dragons 2, that was at the time where I was working full time in video games, and I was working as a teacher, as a university professor for in video games as well, in my old university. And that university changed hands and fired every teacher. So I
Yeah.
found myself, and at the same time, the studio that I was working for banked everything on one game that didn't do well. So at the same, I had two jobs because I've always been very like paranoid about money. I had two jobs, both of them fell about like at the same time. So I had 2 years of unemployment, and I remember very like directly thinking, I could like throw myself into finding another job, or I could do that stupid cooking thing that I've been thinking about for years.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking very clearly, I'll do that stupid cooking thing for 1 year. And when it doesn't work, it wasn't an if for me. It was, when it doesn't work, I'll go back to looking for a job. That's how much I believed in the project, I guess.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's not going to work because this is such a stupid, only me thing. And I did, why not do it? I draw and I write. So the cost was zero. I wasn't hiring people to do it. I was hiring like editors and stuff like that, but that could have been done after. So I started to do it, and apparently it resonated with people. And a lot of people, like you said, told me, "Oh, I had a very similar idea," and I was like, "It's wild that you did," because I thought I was the only one like stupid enough to do this. But yeah, a lot of people were really into
Yeah, I
like
think
cooking competition D&D stuff.
uh Emma from WebDM ran a one shot for a charity or something
Mm-hmm.
called Flavor Town. So it's definitely something that
There's something there.
gamers are into.
Yeah,
And let's face it, right? Like I've been playing this game for a while now, and there is always, from campaign to campaign, been that one player that has wanted to make those characters that go
Gutarian.
around eating monsters, or the barbarian's always
Yeah,
trying to eat the monster.
yeah,
And like after combat, someone's like, "Can I do a survival check to butcher this?" Or,
yeah.
whatever this is, Yeti, arrow bear, whatever. And you're like, "Yo, that thing actually has a language that you want to cut up and
Yeah, it's a
cook."
conscious sentient thing. There are rules in Dragon's Stew for
Yeah,
like what would happen if you ate a sentient thing, which is they basically are reduced to, do you really want to do that? That's crazy, and you're also evil. Like if you're
yeah,
eating a
yeah,
sentient thing, most people will not be okay with cannibalism. If someone found out, you will be looked down upon for like 90% of
yeah.
any society,
It,
human or otherwise.
it really gets into some weird territory,
Yeah.
because we've had this conversation before, even about forest gnomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they can speak to woodland creatures, right? So anything like, and again, I guess they're not sentient per se, but
Yeah, the
anything you can
sentient.
talk to and can talk back to you and communicate with you in some form or another gets into a really weird area.
It's a moral quandary, really.
Yeah,
And with like speak with plants and stuff like that, how far do you carry it? And at the same time, how how much is that speaking, and how much is you like receiving ideas of like base, like
yeah,
I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't think that plants can speak. I think that the spell just means that like for the sake of DMing and stuff like that, we will make a funny voice for the plant that you're speaking to, but I
yeah,
don't think
yeah,
that plants are sentient. So I think that killing beasts and eating that, that's fine. But I think that when you get into like really sentient things, like that thing build a house and you're gonna eat it, you're sick in the head. Don't do that.
Don't do
You can't
that.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like in like the no lore, at least in previous editions, I don't know if it's still
Mm-hmm.
in there. Like it used to be that they enjoyed eating sentient creatures because they screamed the best.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's normal, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I guess like it would be fine in certain societies, and that's for your DM to decide. You can't
yeah,
like a book cannot get into that sort of detail of like, if you're in a human settlement, it's not fine, but if you're in an old settlement, that's okay.
yeah, yeah.
You at DM discretion. Yeah.
So you also do the art as well. Is that watercolors you use? Do you do watercolors?
No, no, I don't. I
Because
don't.
it kind of
I'm
has that
a.
look to it.
It's very pastel. It's very Dragons too. I try to do very different art styles for my two projects. But
Yeah,
yes, I do writing and I do art, which I realized very late that it was a very uncommon thing, because a lot of people, you don't know how many times people have like, I've gotten angry DMs, someone very mad at me coming into my DMs telling me, you have a lot of nerve to never ever credit your artist. How dare you never credit your artist? That person has done so much work for you and you have never credited them. And I'm sitting there being like, that's me. I wrote it and I drew it. So I what are you, so a lot of people, because I guess I
uh,
never thought about stating it clearly that I'm writing and
yeah.
doing the art. A lot of people think that there's some like
Yeah.
mystery artist out
You,
here doing the drawings for me.
you didn't realize how much of an asshole you were being to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I remember saying creator and I was like, well, that's clear enough.
Right, right.
So yeah,
That's
I do the art for Hexbound and for Dragons 2, and I also do the writing
that
for
is
both.
that's a lot of work. Like I know
It
how
is. I
hard
hate
it
myself.
is to coordinate with other artists on a project,
Yeah.
and getting that in. But I can imagine compounding it by doing the art on top of it. How long did it take you to do Dragons though?
Well, I think that because I come from video games and stuff like that, one of the biggest things that you need to do is be quick. because when you work in production, I am sure that I'm slow compared to an animator. When you work in production in these kind of things, you need to be quick because time is money and they're paying you per day. They're paying you an hourly wage. So you need to be quick at what you do. If you take too much time, no one cares that it's that pretty if it took you a month to do something. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
because I came from that environment, it didn't take me that long. Dragon's 2 took me, I want to say, less than a year, and I was not doing it full time. I was I would go to my job in video game production, and in lunch breaks I will draw or write. Then I will get into the metro or subway and write it on my phone, and then I would get back home and draw what I wrote. And that took me, I want to say, less than a year. I want to say 8 months, something like that. At very much not full time. On weekends, sometimes it will take a full weekend just to draw it, or just to draw, or just to write. But yeah, it wasn't that much writing. It was a lot of writing, but it wasn't that long to do. Um, as I said, like I do not come from money. I do not
Yeah.
come from money at all. And two, I started Dragon Soup when I was like completely unemployed. But first time in my life actually that I was completely unemployed because both of my jobs fell through at the same time. So when I started Dragon Stew, I could not pay for someone else. Like I could not dare. I wouldn't dare to pay like to call an artist or to call a writer and be like, could you write this for me or could you draw this for me? I was like, I have to do it myself because I can't afford to do it any other way. The only person that I got on board before the Kickstarter was my editor, who is also one of my best friends. Shout out to Briar, the Feminism on Twitter, who is my main editor and has been with me since the Dragon Stew days. And I remember telling them, hey, I would love you to do this, but I will only be able to pay for your work if this project happens, like if the project goes on. And they were like, that's okay, I'll do it that way. And I remember being terrified. So yes, all of that came from me not having money to do the other one, to do any other way. And now for Hexbound, of course, things have changed thanks to Dragon Stew. But for Hexbound, I think that people like the art and like the writing from me, and not do one or the other would feel like cheating to the people that enjoy Dragons too. You know what I mean? Like if you come for the things that I do. If
So
go
what
ahead.
what is it you do in video games?
I did concept art.
Okay. So
So
so you're an artist by trade,
I
essentially.
am an artist by trade. I'm an
Now you're a
artist.
writer too, though, and
Yes,
game
I've always
designer.
been. Yeah, I've always been a bad writer.
Okay.
Uh, I've always been that. I've always loved to write like fantasy story. Like since I was a baby, I was into fantasy stories. I was into writing stuff. Like I would always take like I would have like I called it my worlds, where I would be like, this world is the same, but people here eat ice, or like I started with that. Writing was always one of my main interests. When I started to look for a job, I also started to think about what would make me eat, what would give me money.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it became very quickly like I was like, I don't think that writing is the choice if I want something more secure. um and game design, I was always into game design. The thing I did for college was based on art, but we did a little bit of everything in video games. So I had many classes on game design. Uh, what I'm saying is the transition into writing and game designing was easier, even if I started as an artist by trade.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess some would say like art really isn't a like reliable a career path, right? That's it's tough to be an artist. Starving artist is a phrase for a reason,
Yeah,
and
it
it's hard.
is.
And it is hard to find, especially to find a job in art,
Mhm.
and that's not just freelance. So, so it seems like both of your choices were like that. It's like I remember when as a kid, my dad would always say, guitarists are a dime a dozen, right? And
Yeah.
and that's how art feels a little bit as well. And I know many artists who struggled to try and get started, but
Mhm.
you sound like you're fortunate enough to find an avenue and a path,
I've been, yeah. I
and
mean, I feel like
talented as well.
oh,
Not to
thank you.
not to take anything away.
No, don't worry. I think it's when I speak to younger, I'm pretty young. If you ask me, I'm still at the beginning. But when I speak with like even younger artists or people that are maybe not younger but at the beginning of their art career, I tell them like I like believe it's 80% luck. 80% luck, 80% like, and the rest is working your ass off constantly on it. Art is hard, but there are ways that you are probably making it harder for yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
My
Like, yeah,
youngest brother is still kind of like plugging away. He does three-dimensional art,
yeah.
uh, where he
Like,
like makes sculptures or dolls and then like photographs them. Uh,
oh, like more fine arts.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Although he's kind of done like fantasy stuff and different things with that. And he went to Philadelphia School of the Arts or University of the Arts. Yeah, University of the Arts. And when he's talked to people that have reached out to him, he's like, "Yeah, don't do that. Like, go to a community college and
Yeah.
take some art classes."
I mean, if I was in the state, I wouldn't have gone to college. Like, that's for sure. Like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't have had the money. Um, I come from Europe, so thankfully our situation is a little bit different. Yeah, I would say like there, as I said, there are several ways to do art. I was never into fine arts for the same reason. I was like, I don't think that there's enough money in there to.
yeah.
Mm, I'm a very anxious person, and I wanted something like as secure as it could be, and something like video games is something that I love, and also something that tends to pay the most regularly for stuff like artists. You get a
Yeah.
salary, you get like you go to work, you go to the office, stuff like that. And there's plenty of people like the beginning is always hard, and as you go through it and you acquire more experience, it does become easier. So that's where I'm at right now.
So let's shift
Yeah.
gears a little bit. And what was the inspiration for Hexbound?
I every time I do interviews for stuff like that, I wish I was an interesting person that had like cool inspirations,
Yeah.
but I'm just doing what 80-year-old me would like me to do. I like cowboys, I like trains, I like witches, and I like those. I've been liking those things since I was 8. So when it came to what would be the next book after Dragons 2, I remember very clearly thinking, what about a cowboy class? And then I thought, I don't think that's a good idea. I
Yeah.
know that, yeah, I know that 8-year-old me would love it, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
a good idea. And that's how we switched forward to witches. Um, Witches have been like one of my favorite concepts in fantasy since the end of time. Every question, every every time someone asks me the question, what is your favorite D&D monster? I always answer hags. Hags are my
Yeah.
favorite D&D everything. I cannot tell you how many hags I've put in any campaign in any game. I do good hags, I do bad hags, I do neutral hags, all kinds of hags. Witches have always been an incredibly like interesting part of it, and to me it's such a fantasy staple that is found in every culture or nearly every culture, and we don't have anything like it in D&D. To me it's wild that we don't, and that's why Hexbound happened. I was like, I want witches, we need to do
So
witches. Yeah,
for Hexbound, are they more like traditional Wiccan type witches or more like fairy tale witches?
they are, honestly, what I wanted with Hexbound is they are what you want, what I want them to be and what you want them to be. My biggest thing is when I started doing it, I was like, we should do a like we as if someone's working with this on me with this. I'm like writing on my own and stuff. Like I want, what about a class? And I realized I don't want to do a class because if I wanted to run a witch heavy or a witch themed campaign, I cannot have all my enemies and good guys be squishy spellcasters all the time for the end of time. And that's how I found the idea of witch subclasses, which are
Mhm.
like like D&D classes all have like giving those classes at witch subclass, which means those classes get it's the same lore. They're all witches. They just do witchcraft very differently. So to answer your question, that's how the witch subclasses go into getting like figure into this. You have the traditional witch, you have the spell brew, like the spell casting potion brewing witch, you have, but you also have like completely different, completely non-traditional types of witches thanks to these classes. Some subclasses are very what you imagine of a witch. They get their own like powered up familiar, they get potion brewing, they get spell casting, and some others like the monk witch punches spirits into their enemies. You have like so basically that's the fighter witch summons spirits. They're all like the basis of all of them is spirits. The fighter witch summons spirits to their blade, and that's how they get like the knowledge of other warriors, which means that you can get abilities from other martial archetypes that are not your own because you have summoned a warrior from like a warrior that had that martial archetype. All that is how I wanted to do witches, to give players and DMs all different kinds of witches, not just one basic fairy tale witch or the complete opposite. If you want to do a fairy tale witch, you can with Hexbound. If you want to do anything but a fairy tale witch, you can with Hexbound.
So there's also an app involved. Was that originally in your vision for the
Yes,
game, or is that
there
something
is.
that got added?
I mean, not in the very, very beginning, but I had this idea of a AR, like augmented reality app for D&D for the longest time. I
Yeah.
just, once again, stupid inspiration. Ever since I saw in that Harry Potter, like the Harry Potter movie, those books with pictures that moved on the page, I was like, why
Yeah.
don't we have those?
I think
So,
there's been at least one Kickstarter that I've seen where there is AR through your like there are tiles that you lay out and then you look through
yes,
your phone and you get like
I've seen
AR.
those. Yeah, I've seen those. That sounds nice. I wanted, although those sound amazing, I wanted something that would like actually work in 2021 with only the need of a phone and the book. You know, like
Okay.
no tiles, no special mat, no like stuff like that. Something that we know works as like a baseline. I wanted something simple. I wanted something that anyone could do with their phone. So that's how the app happened. The app is basically you open the app, the camera on your phone lights up, like turns on, and as you're scrolling through the book, you can use it to pass through the pages of the book, and the illustrations of the book animate as you click on them. You can have a stat block if the thing is a creature. You can have information on subclasses if you clicked on a subclass. You could have a stat block for a familiar. You could have spells, like anything that you would ever want from Hexbound. You can see it like that, and instead of like running combat by like constantly switching pages, you just have it on your phone, and you click on it, and it rolls for you. So it's very convenient and very simple. Literally any phone can do it. Even if your phone doesn't have AR, we have a non-AR mode. So
Okay.
what I wanted for the app was, I've seen all these projects and they look amazing, and I'm happy that people are making it. What I wanted me for the app was something easy, that looked cool, that anyone could do. I didn't want, I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. I was trying to make going through a D&D book as easy and painless as possible. And I'm also, like the experts say, mathematically challenged in many ways.
Yeah.
So to me, a thing that tells me I'm going to do the math for you is a thing that is welcomed in my life and in my hobby. So
Yeah.
that's why.
There's also like a bunch of minis as well too. The sculpts
There
that I seen
is.
look fantastic.
There is. The minis look amazing. We are so happy. They're done by the production company that is handling minis and handling cards. And the minis will be. I chose the mini specifically to be like, this is something that appears on one of Hexbound's adventures, but this could also be your PC if you want to make a witch.
Yeah.
So I wanted something that could like, if you're running the adventures on the book, you can always use these minis because there are actual characters in it. But if you just want to take this one because it looks very cool and you want to make your PC look like it, you can go ahead and take it. So that's how they're chosen, basically.
Now, did you do the sculpts or did you have someone else do them?
No, no. I cannot. I'm not doing everything.
If you're like, yes, I was like, I hate this guy so much. Why is there so much talent focused in one human being?
I did 3D art for the longest time. I don't do it anymore. No, so I didn't do the sculpts. The sculpts were done by the same production company that does our cards, that does like they take care of production. They also did our video, our Kickstarter video. They worked very closely together, and we are working on the very last mini, which I'm very excited to show because it's not a medium mini, it's a large mini, which makes it
Okay,
very
yeah.
exciting for me. Yeah,
Super cool. That's a far away from Dragon Stew.
it
Like
is.
all these
Yes,
moving parts. That's got to be
yes,
exciting.
it is very exciting. It's extremely exciting. I mean, what's really cool about the process is that people are getting Dragon Stew, like the people that got the physical book, the people that got the PDF got it like a long time ago. Dragon Stew came out early for people that got the PDF. For people that got the book too, or only the book, they are getting the book now, and my my Twitter is flooded by people showing me their books and being so happy. So I'm very happy that I get to start the new campaign with the other one coming to an end and people being so happy with the book. It's just, as corny as it is, it does warm my heart to see how happy people are about the book. It makes me
Now
very
you're
happy.
saying you've got most of it written already, or it is written, and now you're just working on the art.
Yeah, basically. All of Hexbound has been written. The only thing that has not been written yet, and even things that will not be in Hexbound have been written for Hexbound. But I will recycle everything if it doesn't make it to the book. The only thing that has not been written for Hexbound yet is the things that we have unlocked through stretch goals. Which means there's one adventure that hasn't been written yet for Hexbound. And other than that, I would say that we're about a 75% done in art, by which I mean all the art that I did myself is done. We are going to bring in additional artists to do a little bit of environment work, like basically like grand vistas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to give those to somebody else because I want the book to be done as quickly as possible and to get to people's doors as quickly as possible. So that's where our percentages are at the moment. Around a 75% are done, book all done except for things that have been unlocked through Kickstarter.
Now, do you do the layout as well?
No, I hate it. Thank God there are people out there in this world that know how to do layout, and I guess those sickos enjoy to do it. I cannot relate. I don't know how you do. I don't know how people like to do that.
Masochist.
I hate to do it. Yeah, masochist. Yeah, of course, there has to be people like that. You know they're sick. Yeah. So I'm joking, everybody. Yeah, I'm joking. Thank God. No, really, thank God they're there because I despise to do layout. I will not do it. What I will do is I will do one page in Photoshop that this is what I want it to look like. Please go ahead and make the whole book like this. And that's how we do it.
Well, I mean, that's nice that you're able to do that. Like, I would not be able to. I have to like fumble through my words and try and explain what I want.
Yeah.
Or they're like showing me, how about this? How about that? And it all looks the same to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had that experience in reverse with clients. I'm like, can you, they will be like, can you make it more alive? And I'm like, what do you mean? What does that mean?
Like Frankenstein, can you make it more energetic? Technically alive? Like what?
Yeah. Can you make it more energetic?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it conveys enough joy. And I'm like, please use normal words. What do you want?
Yeah. So you're living in France now. What's the gaming scene like in France?
Tabletop RPGs in France. I mean, who would like to play D&D in French? Not me. Do
you speak French?
I do speak French. I speak French fluently. French people, there are hundreds of French people that are very nice.
Yeah,
I've heard rumors. I cannot say this like from my own personal experience, but I've heard that there are plenty of nice French people. I have plenty of French friends, and I have dragged them into tabletop RPG places. Yeah. I am under that curse of like I'm the only person in my friend group that is into it. So my scene is not French. My scene is the Discord scene, which means I play mostly with Americans online. I had the pleasure, like in my youth, to do tabletop RPGs with friends and with family members in person. When I took the hobby again later on in life, that was squarely an online experience for me because, as I said, my French friends, like the people that live with me in France and people that like are close to me in France physically, do not play. So I cannot tell you much about the scene in France. My scene is the American scene and the online scene.
So I've been to France once, and
I'm sorry.
I went there for D&D in the castle, so it was pretty cool. But you know, I had to like find my way from the airport to the train station to.
I'm sure all French people were very helpful.
Oh yeah, I totally got lost and nearly arrested. So
checks out.
Yeah. Like, you know, I was trying to get, I was like, hey, I'm trying to go here and trying to get information. And of course, like I'm butchering words and I'm saying them wrong. And finally I get someone, like I show them and they're like, oh, it's like this. And they show me. And then you get on the train and the trains are like terrible. Like the PA systems, it's like oh, in another language, right? That I don't
Yeah.
speak.
Oh, I speak French fluently, and I do not understand the PA, so it's fine.
Yeah, okay. So I
Yeah.
totally missed my stop, get off at the wrong spot, and then like so I asked one of the guards, and he's like, "Oh, you have to go here." And I ran up to there as the train was like getting ready to pull out and jumped on the train. But there was no in between like getting the right ticket. So when they came around for the tickets, I had the wrong one. I'm like, I don't know, I got lost.
Yeah.
They're like, don't do it again. I'm like, that's fine. I
I
probably
won't. I
never.
won't be coming here. No,
So,
yeah. Living in France is a trip. It is.
yeah.
It sure is. But yeah, I'm originally from Spain, though.
Yeah, and everyone was like, yeah, they totally knew what you're saying. They were just doing it on purpose.
They do it on like that's what they like to do. It's insane
Yeah.
to me. They love to do that. They will know exactly what you mean and
Yeah.
exactly what you want to tell them, but they will pretend that they don't. I've seen tourists get played with that so much.
Yeah. Oh well,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Welcome to France. That's easy.
I mean, I got a French last name and everything.
Well,
But,
I'm sorry. No one's perfect.
yeah. They're gonna kick you out. You don't seem very happy to be in France.
I have plenty of French friends. Some of my best friends are French.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of shit, and they deserve it. But
For being French.
yeah, for being French, yeah, of course. Some crimes
What
can never be forgiven,
do you
but
usually
they are
end up
very nice
being?
people.
Do you usually end up being the DM or the player?
1000% the DM, and I'll tell you something. I don't mind.
Yeah.
It's what I like, actually.
I've
This
heard
whole
that
thing
before.
of like, I like it. I like to be the DM. I don't mind. I'm not unhappy being a forever DM. Right now, I'm playing in 2 campaigns because I'm taking a break from that long campaign that I DM'd, and I'm itching to go back. It's the only thing I'm like. I'm like, oh yeah, playing is fun, but I would like to. I want to get back to DMing. What about you?
I'm like when I'm a player, I want to DM, and when I'm a DM, I want to play.
You're just
So
unhappy.
yeah, I wouldn't say unhappy, but one thing makes me miss the other thing.
Yeah.
But I definitely have friends who are like, they don't like being players. They're like, they rather just be DMs. And as long as you're aware, they're like, I'm a terrible player because I guess they just want to be in control. So
There's a part of me that is like that. When I'm like playing, I'm like, I don't like this. I wouldn't do this. I want to do it this way. Can we do this another
yeah,
way? But I'm playing and I'm having like when I play, I have a blast. When I DM, I just have even more of a blast.
yeah.
So yeah, I prefer DMing, but I like playing.
So what kind of campaigns do you like to run when it's not a food based game?
Yeah. Oof. I am a roleplay boy. I like roleplay. I do not like dungeon crawls. I have been made and put upon this earth to upset the people like the old guard. I'm just
Yeah,
what they fear most. I'm what they I like roleplay heavy. I don't like dungeon crawls. If we're in a dungeon for more than 2 sessions, I will start to get claustrophobic and want to leave. So the kind of campaigns that I run are my like motto ethos to DMing is make the players feel like heroes, by which so that translates to I will probably write like a very basic overarching plot of like this is the campaign, like super basic. Then the players will give me their characters and I will plug their characters backstory in that campaign, and then I will prepare choices, like big choices, like basically like beats in that campaign. They're like, oh, it'd be nice if they hit this and this and this, and the rest they make their own story. So I tend to run a pretty open world, like open ended game,
hmm
but I like a through line. I like a basic main plot of like the villain is plotting this. This is what's happening in the world. I have played complete sandbox campaigns and I do not enjoy them. I I don't like railroading and I like to make my own choices, but I do like a plot in my campaign. I do like an overarching thing that's happening. And even if you fuck off to fight the dragon monkeys for like 3 or 4 sessions, there is that overarching plot that you will come back to at one point or another. So that's how I write, like that's how I DM. I DM extremely character heavy, which means like my PCs will always find something related to the backstory or to their character in anywhere in the world. And I DM pretty deadly, because to me, if you want to feel like a hero, you want to have a challenge. So I don't do easy fights. When I'm playing, easy fights bore me to tears. So I don't do easy fights. I put them easily a challenge rating 5 times bigger than your level, and do your best. Because if it's easy, you're not going to feel like a hero. So that's my baseline through DMing. A lot of RP, a lot of character heavy stuff. What about you?
So right from what you said, two things. First of all, that example of dragon monkeys was oddly specific, and and two, you do seem to have
I'm
something.
not going to comment on it.
You do have some common ground with the old guard there, with the deadly campaigns. Yeah. So yeah, we're the same. Like we, very rarely do we do dungeon crawls anymore. Matter of fact, we don't even do combat that much. It's like we do a combat per session. And
that's my rule.
Make it a hard combat, right? Like try and use up as many resources as we can and drop players, in that combat and just, kind of make it tough. But yeah, unless I'm running like a one shot, and I want them confined so that, we can get through, because open-ended games and one shots do not go together. Not if you want to have a completion.
they are completely you need to play them with a completely different set of rules.
Yeah.
I see like these new chickens complaining about this one shot is railroaded. It's a one shot.
Yes,
it's a one shot.
It has to be.
It. Yeah, stop it. That's how I know that you haven't been playing for a minute. This one shot is railroading. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I can tell you never finish a one shot in a session then.
Yeah, because it's like you got 3 to 5 hours, whatever your time frame is, to finish this thing. And like, it's funny. My partner Ted in Nerdarchy will run them, and he'll start them kind of a little more open ended, and then like he's like, I never got to the adventure because like it's funny. This happened not that long ago, but it was like the characters were like 10th level. He's like, whatever mundane game gear you want, you've got it. Like you guys are 10th level. So it's like, go to this village and there's a problem here, fix the problem. This is the gist of it. They're like, we want to go to the tavern. We want to go shopping. He's like, shopping? You want to do a shopping episode? You guys are 10th level to have everything you could possibly need. And you're in this podunk village and you want to go shopping?
If I'm in campaign, I am the most run by the seat of my pants DM. If I'm in a one shot, I have no problem telling my players, no, you're not going to do that. No, that's not the one shot. You came here for a one shot. You didn't come here for a 7 shot. We're not doing this for 3 weeks in a row. Let's get to it.
Yeah, like we run like monthly fan games. So that for me, like I always try and make them contained and very clear. Like, this is what you're doing. This is the plan. So we can run that adventure. And my campaigns, whatever you guys want. I take a shotgun and load it full of plots and subplots, and then I just fire it random, and whatever they latch onto is what we're doing.
That's how you gotta do it. Yeah. I like to do the beat approach of like, you have like the beginning and the end, and I have like, okay, and this is happening here, and this is happening here, and whatever happens between each bead is whatever the fuck you want to happen between each bead. Do you know what I mean? I like that approach because it does keep a through line, and each speed can change. You know what I mean? Like it could be like, this is when the plan of the minor villain comes into action, but if you kill it, it won't happen. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing. But I like that approach because it does keep that through line of an advancing plot. I just don't enjoy sandbox at all.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I kind of do somewhere in between there. I'm also not, I'm not adverse to abandoning my original plots if my players go in a different direction.
Yeah, the biggest thing is they gotta have fun and they gotta feel like heroes, and they're not gonna feel like heroes if you make them do the plot or else.
Yeah.
If they're not showing interest, you gotta take the L and be like, okay, let's change it around. They really want those dragon monkeys. That's what they're going for. They're not going for the plot.
Although
We
I
need to change that
almost
around.
feel like as a GM, if you introduce dragon monkeys and they get
It's your fault.
distracted, it was your fault.
It's your fault. It's your fault. Yeah. And next time you won't introduce the dragon monkeys, or you will make the dragon monkeys part of the plot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also not adverse to having bad things happen. Like,
Yeah,
there
of
was
course.
there was the one group we were playing, and basically they were exploring like a spaceship that kind of wrecked, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a prison, and inadvertently the prisoner escaped, and it happened to be a kaiju that destroys everything in its path.
As you do.
And it was like I tried to make it like clear, like you're not gonna just fight this and kill it, right? It's like Godzilla, and you guys are not.
You don't
So
fight
they like
Godzilla.
tried chasing it down for a little while, realized that wasn't gonna work, and then they finally went back to the spaceship to kind of like solve the problem. But in the meantime, it had gone through a city, and so that city doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
In
well,
that
that's
world.
yeah. They should have known better. They should have known that if you want to beat Godzilla, you get another monster to fight Godzilla that is also very big.
Yeah, yeah, that's clearly the only
Yeah,
way.
that's the only way.
um, so, do you play any non-D&D games?
I do. I enjoy Call of Cthulhu. Uh, because of that roleplay aspect. You know,
Yeah,
I I like that in Call of Cthulhu. If you are in combat, you probably you're not gonna see that character for long. You know what I mean? Like you probably went wrong somewhere.
you've already
So I enjoy.
lost.
Yeah, you already lost if you're in combat. If you are seeing the monster, you are probably dead already. So I play Call of Cthulhu. I play a ton of games of Powered by the Apocalypse. I am tentative about running. My thing is I've never seen a Monster of the Week campaign
Yeah,
run for like a long time. You know, like a long-term Monster of the Week campaign. I've seen cute like 2 months things. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's fine. I would like to see. I'm tentative about maybe next campaign should be that. Maybe next campaign should be a Monster of the Week one. I played Monster of the Week always in one shot or two shot situations.
It's
I would love
perfect
to
for
see.
that too.
Yes.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Have you played like a long term thing, like a long,
I honestly,
long thing?
I played like 3 sessions of it. This weekend I just ran a session 0 for a game I'm running of Monster of the Week, and it is going to be long term. Like I
Long
don't like,
term.
but like I guess like we're playing that game once a month, so long term might be like 6 to 12 months. So six to
Yeah.
12 sessions, right? So, uh, and we'll see how that works out as a campaign. But yeah, so they work for a government organization. They kind of got like suicide squatted into working for the government to hunt down monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And also like some inspiration from, I don't know if you saw the Friday the 13th series. It's
Not
kind
the
of,
series. I was about to say yes because I've seen the movies,
yeah,
but not the
yeah,
series. Yeah,
yeah. So the series actually had nothing to really do with
nothing to really do with the movies.
the movies, because it was like they were hunting down antiques, cursed antiques that were like sold from like one of the characters' uncles or something.
Mm.
So they felt responsible, so they were trying to get them back or whatever. So so some inspiration from there and some other places, but we'll see how it goes as a campaign.
I want to try it. I want to try a campaign. So yeah, I played plenty of games. I have no qualms in saying that D&D is my favorite, and I will always go back to it.
Yeah, I mean that's been us too. I mean we've been playing D&D for like 20 plus years now.
No.
I think for me it's closer to 30, if not 30. And we'll wander through other systems from time to time, but we always end back up at D&D. So
Yep. No. I love it. It's a big passion, and yeah. I do agree with like the sense that you see this a lot in social media. I do believe that people should play other games because there are stuff like there is stuff that it's cool to see, you know. But you
it'll
can
make your
also
D&D better.
and it will make your D&D better, and
Yeah.
also you would make like but you're also allowed to have favorite. You're also allowed to be like, okay, I
Yeah.
played a lot of stuff and it's still my favorite, which is where I fall, and I have no problem saying that. I still love D&D, and D&D is my favorite.
Yeah. You know what, too, like kind of jumping back to the Monster of the Week, when you go through and make the characters, and if you use the history section of the characters where you're supposed to connect your character to the others, I feel like there's a bunch there to run a campaign from.
I know that it's very like I've seen I played Monster of the Week and I like the character creator a lot. I do hope that D&D does like adds that aspect of a more emphasis to backstory and character creation next time, because I do believe that that's what's a lot of people do it already. Just do it. Just make it a
Yeah,
part of character creation with like actual bonuses to stuff. Yeah,
they
beef up
tried.
backgrounds.
I
Yeah,
mean, I feel like they tried, but they
with
missed the
backgrounds.
mark. Like with the ideals, flaws, personalities,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff. It
yeah,
seems cool, but like they also tied it to inspiration, which was a terrible idea because it's just too much stuff for a GM to remember. Like,
yeah.
are they doing their flaw, their ideal, or their personality? You know,
Yeah.
so inspiration gets used completely differently.
Very big. Yeah, I mean, do you know? Do you want to know how we use inspiration in our games? In the game that I'm playing, not running, if we recognize where the music is from that the DM is playing, we get inspiration.
Oh,
That is how
yeah.
we're running inspiration in that game. And
For
listen,
us,
it's
it's
very
like when
fun.
someone does something cool or funny, they get
I know,
inspiration.
yeah. Oh well, we don't even run it that way. We run it like, oh, is this is from Hollow Knight? And you're like, yes, you get inspiration. There's a maximum of one. You cannot keep guessing.
Oh,
Get a thousand
yeah.
inspirations like wait, but that's how we run it. To me, I think that like I would love them. I would love if they went a little deeper on backgrounds. If
Yeah.
background was beefed up, I think that that would, and I would love them to. I would love if they got rid of like alignments and all that ideas, flaws, whatever. Nothing. Like get rid of that, beef up backgrounds, and let the players decide if their character is going to react in a good way to whatever. I don't know. It never helped me, and I have never seen some like that help a player. You
I
know.
mean, alignments are great when you want to start a fight.
Yeah,
Just
basically. Yeah, it's
mention,
my alignment. It's a bad excuse.
yeah. Yeah, it's one of those sacred cows that needs to die. Maybe next, like like with each edition, it means less and less to the game.
Less and less.
To the point, like now, it's like I
But a
think
paladin.
not even like it's just like certain magic items you can attune to them if you're a certain
Yeah.
alignment. That is it. So there's a
I.
question from Doug in the chat.
Oh,
Uh,
hi, dog. I don't know
coming
who Doug is, but I'm
from
sure they're nice.
coming from video games, working on another's project, how's it different being a creator, developing your own ideas, pros, cons, lessons learned?
Is this dog from Nerdarchy?
It
Hey,
is. It
man.
is.
It is.
We
Hi,
have a
dog. Thank you.
plant. We've got a plant
Yeah,
in this chat.
we have a plant in the chat. Well, thank you so much, Doug. And thank you for that incredible article that you wrote. I wanted to say thank you directly. It's been amazing to the point where going back to studio now seems very scary.
Yeah.
Like being like, oh, now it's time to not do what I want. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. How I feel about
I
that.
mean, you're
It's
still
been
doing
amazing.
art for video games, though.
Yeah, I still do that, and I love it. I am reducing my time spent on that because now, I mean, if you had talked to me like after Dragon's Day, I would have told you that might have been a fluke. That is
Yeah, yeah.
quite possibly a fluke. I will never have a success again. And now the Hexbound has like double, tripled, quadrupled anything that Dragon's 2 did. It is not the case. I now like it's you gotta contend with the fact that it's not a fluke. So it feels amazing. I'm so happy to see that people like the stupid ideas I've had in my brain for like the longest time. It feels amazing to the point where I'm kind of scared about how is it gonna be going back if I ever do go back to studio. But I am currently working with people at Multiverse who have been like amazing, and I've been
Yeah.
honestly having fun. So I guess I shouldn't be worried. Thank you for your question. I hope that answered it.
No, and that is awesome. Also, you made like a great partnership with a great company too.
Hit
Hit
Point
Point
Press.
Press
Yes.
is one, they've had a lot of success in the Kickstarter arena. A couple, I think they've had like two Kickstarters now that have gone over $1 million, which is crazy, right? We're getting we're just about at double digits for RPG Kickstarters that have
Isn't it?
done $1 million or more.
Yeah. It's um I don't know. Hit Point Press has been incredible. Like they have been an incredible company, and I'm so very thankful that they believed in my vision enough to give me this chance. I'm happy that I haven't disappointed, and Every single person I've ever interacted with at Hit Point Press has been nothing but kind, nothing but encouraging, nothing but great. And as I know that, I don't know, I hear myself and it sounds like kissing ass, but I really do feel it. Like I'm very, very happy with like what my publisher has done for me and for Hexbound. I don't think that I would have, and you said it before when we were talking about minis, when we were talking about cards, we just unlocked animated spell cards. All that would not be possible without Hit Point Press. So I thank them from really the bottom of my heart. And Hexbound will not be here if it wasn't for them. So yeah, absolutely. I'm
extremely happy. They got a lot of experience with that stuff as well. I mean, in the before times when we would actually go to conventions, I've spent many time in visiting their booths and hanging out with Ricardo and the crew over there. Yeah. I mean, we've had a relationship with them for years now. They've sponsored a bunch of videos for their different Kickstarters, and they've just done a good job about like kind of figuring out what people want and giving it to them. So I feel like that's probably why when they saw your project, they're like, yeah, we'll do this, like this, and because they just have a good feel for that stuff.
They've been nothing but kind, and I once again I couldn't be happier that they trusted me with it.
Well, honestly, the kind part, don't give them too much credit. They're Canadian; they can't help themselves.
I know they can't help themselves. That's why we have to take advantage of them. Yeah, that's our job, you know.
Yeah, because they do that annual ritual where all Canadians take part and they channel all their negative emotions into the geese. And send them out into the world.
And that's why. Yeah. Makes sense. I haven't heard of that. Yes, no, that makes sense. No, yes, absolutely. Yeah. They are Canadian, and that's why it's easy to take advantage of them, and that's why I'm here.
But also, folks, as always, there are links down in the description for you to go check out. Go click away.
Please do check it out.
You'll find the Kickstarter, the Dragon Stew book that you can go grab, and also an article from Nerdarchy on the Dragon Stew as well. So the game you're playing in, what are you playing?
I am playing My First Woman because I have a thing for I don't like when character voice doesn't, like, the voice that comes out of your lips doesn't match the art that you have for your character.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'm like, because I'm a purist in that way, but I have no qualms about gender. So I was like, if I'm going to play a woman, I want to make it a voice that could match the woman that I'm playing. So I'm playing a 40, 50-year-old Maggie Smith woman. I'm playing a bard. I'm playing a bard of my own concoction. One of the subclasses in Dragon Stew called hosting, like a host and the College of Hosting. Okay. And we're playing how you call it? We're playing a Greek-inspired D&D campaign by my friend Excalliope. I've made fun of them for so long, calling it Calliope, that now I just say it. Excalliope0 on Twitter, and it's a Greek mythology campaign. I've been playing that for it's been a minute now. I think that more than a year, or just close to a year. Anyway, we've been playing that for a while. We do 1 week on, 1 week off, and it's been amazing. She's a tiefling. For the longest time, no one knew that she was. She just has a very big hair, and she's been hiding it the whole time.
Oh, she got horns and hides in her hair?
Yes.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Do you are you guys using Theros?
No. So yes and no. This my DM was very mad. It was like, I did it first. I was like, everyone has done it first. Everyone has done Greek mythology. Yeah. So we're doing. So we started before Theros.
The Greeks are like, hey, yo, what about us?
Exactly. So we started that before, and then when it came out, after they stopped like being mad about that, they did check out the book, and they were like very happy with some of the things. So we are using things for Theros. We're using the piety system. Okay. We're using a couple of adventures, like parts of adventures, parts of stuff. I believe that the DM is taken from Theros, and that's why I haven't bought Theros, because I'm not allowed to. My DM told me not to buy it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a pretty good resource if you want to run a Greek mythology game, or if you just want to play Theros. So it adds some cool things. Mm-hmm. The Wizards of the Coast books for the Magic the Gathering crossovers have been pretty good. Like even if you don't care about Magic the Gathering, they've added cool things to the game.
Yes. There are a couple of things that seem a little bit too alien to me.
Yeah.
As a non-Magic player, I don't play Magic, but there are a ton of things that I still use from like books like Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that the books have been pretty good.
Are you guys using the supernatural gifts?
No, we are using Piety. Like, have you seen the Piety system?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we're using the Piety system because it is very like god heavy campaign.
yeah.
Every player has a different god that they're a patron to. Not they're a patron to them. Their god is a patron to them. And we are using the Piety system pretty heavily. And I think that a ton of stuff that I'm not even aware we're using because it's my DM, and my DM told me not to buy the book.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what we're using from Theros. I just know that the Piety system is the thing that is 100% confirmed
Yeah.
that we bought. Yeah.
What's your piety score at?
They don't tell me.
Oh, you don't get to know.
No, I don't get to know. But I believe I am the player with the highest piety score.
Okay.
Because my girl is very pious. I chose Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Because we're not running with Theros.
Theros gods. You're using Greek gods. Yeah. That makes sense.
We're using Greek gods. But I believe I have the highest piety in the group. I'm very proud about that. I also believe that I chose a god that was very easy. And I think it's their fault for picking like the cool gods.
Yeah.
You wanted Apollo and Athena? Well,
now you gotta.
It's gonna be harder.
Now you gotta hunt, deliver messages, and run fast.
Exactly. Now I picked Aphrodite. I just have to make the things look pretty.
Pretty, love, all the good
pretty,
stuff.
love, easy. Yeah, absolutely. What are you playing?
So Kenton has a question. With the success of Kickstarter and supplements, do you think that companies may outgrow the need for Kickstarter?
I think absolutely. I think that it does. I think that it depends exactly on like the model of the company and the amount of people working at the company. I think that Kickstarter is also a good way to. One thing that to remember is that companies that use Kickstarter are normally accepting the fact that Kickstarter is gonna be their main source of income for that project, which means when they do their Kickstarter, especially with D&D books, you're not going to get like the same number that you got on Kickstarter after doing Kickstarter. Most of the time, it's going to be way lower. Maybe you will never reach the amount that you got in Kickstarter. So you're basically looking at Kickstarter, looking at sales, you know? I know that, for example, for me, Hexbound was on Kickstarter because of the app, but also because it's a good way to generate excitement for my project and to not only to make it a reality, but also to generate excitement for that project. So, yes, absolutely. I believe that like that can happen if the company changes the way that they operate, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I also wouldn't fault a company for never abandoning Kickstarter because those are sales.
There's a couple different things there, right, to unpack. Mm-hmm. Like one, I know like Monty Cook Games wanted to bring back the old school RPG bullpen, right? And they Monty Cook tried doing it in a more traditional way. Didn't work out, so he started his own company. And I've heard Shannon Germain say like their business model is to do like 3-4 Kickstarters a year. And I know if I back one of their Kickstarters, now they have not said this anywhere, it hasn't been said, but in my opinion, if I'm backing their Kickstarter, I am backing their next project. I'm not backing the one that's on Kickstarter right now. Like they've already done that. They've made that thing, and this is a pre-order. Right. And I feel like a lot of companies use them for pre-orders essentially. And also they mitigate the risk by investing a small amount of money in a said product or project. And they're trying to see if the market actually wants it or not. Yeah. And if the Kickstarter fails, then they know that
there was not a market.
There's not a market for it. And it was significantly cheaper for them to learn that way than producing the thing and then finding out there was no market for it.
Yeah. That's just not for me. When I'm thinking about how I move forward, I like my projects to be an event and like a big event. Yeah. In terms of like, I like it to come from the heart. I like it to show like, I think that people can tell that I put a lot of work into my things because I write it and I draw it, and it takes a long time. So when I'm thinking about like my next move after Hexbound, I don't I know that's something like doing several Kickstarters a year. That's not a possibility for me. I'm probably I've been thinking about it, but I don't even think that next year will be a project year for me. I might
Yeah.
just focus on like growing and making more connections and stuff like that, and getting ready for the third project that I like a project I've wanted to do for the longest time. It's in the tabletop RPG sphere. The several Kickstarters a year, the very quick pace. I don't know. I think that like as an independent creator and in a sphere like tabletop RPGs where we are all in some sense like independent creators, we're all small. I think that if you don't do something that comes from the heart and takes time and takes effort, you can do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it that way. So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it comes down to like figuring out what's right for you, right? For the
exactly.
individual.
Yeah,
And like I do know people that do a lot of Kickstarters, and they're like genuinely excited about all of them. That they do. Like they're picking projects that they're excited about. Um so so I don't think you doing more means it's less from the heart, but the way you do it, where you're very vested because you're doing all the work essentially,
yeah,
right? It is a completely different model than you have a company, you build a team, you put a
of
team
course,
like
because that team, yeah, a
yeah,
team can make it much quicker. I'm talking about like very specifically individuals, like
yeah,
one person on their thing. I think that like a company that is doing several Kickstarters a year, as someone that has worked in the game industry, I can look at that and be like, it is very probable that like that happened. Like you started work on that like 2 years ago, and it's coming out now right next to this other thing. This does not mean that
yeah,
it's taken little time. I'm talking when I say like I wouldn't do like several Kickstarters at the same time. I'm talking as me as an individual.
yeah.
I'm not talking a company. I think a company should be measured by a completely different yardstick. And like, yeah, I think that like a company and someone that a company that releases several Kickstarters by in the same year, that's just a company that knows how to manage their time. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a total skill set. I mean, we've got one Kickstarter under our belt, and it is just wrapping up finally now. And
Congrats.
it's yeah. Well, it's fun. It's wrapping up, but it's also late, and we've run into all kinds of issues and problems that we've had to work our way through and solve
Did you
as
get?
we. What's that?
Sorry, sorry. I wanted to ask. Did you get? I was. I don't know how much I can curse. Did you get messed up by the LA Port Jam?
The LA.
Port Jam. The jam at the LA Port.
I don't think so. I think we missed that. We've had other problems.
Well, you were lucky. You've been
Yeah.
lucky. Hey, Dragon's 2 has hit
Yeah.
historic LA Port Jam and new Brexit laws
Uh,
for the
yeah.
same release. For the same release. In my first release, too. I was like, only to me. It can only happen to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess like so I think we were going to end up hitting those Brexit laws, but because we partnered with someone that kind of got us like grandfathered in, like going
Mm.
forward, we're gonna have to deal with them.
Yeah, exactly. This year is
But
easy. Yeah. This year is
it's
easy. After that, after this year, you gotta get ready to do the whole mess with
it's
them to distribute to them.
it's been a learning experience. Let's put it at that.
No,
So we are just past the hour mark. Final thoughts before we head on out.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me talk at length about my book. I hope I haven't been annoying or talked too much.
No, not at all.
Uh,
Thank you for coming on. We definitely appreciate it, man. You're welcome back anytime.
Anytime you want to have me, I'll be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you so much for everyone that came to watch.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Till next time. Bye bye.
And we're out.